What's going on, guys? This is JT here. I am on my main account, and in this video I am going to show and explain exactly how I beat Forgotten Trials level 28. Now, one thing I wanted to say is these dungeons are no joke, man. They take a lot of rinse and repeating. They have a ton of RNG involved as well. And if you don't know what RNG stands for, that is random numbers generated. And what that means basically is, let's say you go into a dungeon and your Ares, for example, procs on 5 Orcs Banes in the back of the dungeon. Well, that doesn't really help you out, right? Well, if your Ares procs on 5 heroes right in front of you and silences all of them and allows you to go through the dungeon, well, that's a big help. Or, for example, if let's say your Dove Keeper one-shots an important hero like Walla Walla, well, that's freaking huge. Or your Pumpkin Duke goes into a dungeon and just keeps proccing over and over one time, whereas in another time he just gets stunned up by the magic towers. That's RNG, right? So if you go into a dungeon, your Pumpkin Duke just procs over and over and gets lucky, doesn't get stunned by any magic towers, that's great. But then sometimes you go in and he'll just get stunned up, and of course that's annoying. So it's basically just a lot of rinse and repeating with these dungeons. Now, I did want to give a quick shout out to my boy Atron for helping me out with all these Forgotten Trial dungeons. He was a huge help, no doubt about that. So let's go ahead and get in here, go over my setup. Now, for level 28, I did use a Lanacore. We also have Dove Keeper. We got Serena Golem, Ares, Pumpkin Duke, Anubis Walla, Sasquatch, and Professor Ribbit. Now, you will notice that I have 5 red heroes, which is 5 brawler heroes, and the reason why is because we're going up against Oracle, so we get the damage buff and reduced damage buff as well, so that definitely helps out a ton. So let's go ahead and get into the altar. I'll break down all of the talents and whatnot that I have on these heroes. So we went with Revitalize. We also have Iron Will on the Lanacore, just so Lanacore can proc and not get stunned by a stun tower right at the start, right? He's immune to stun, so that helps out a ton with the Lanacore. You can also go with Psy Shield, but I like Iron Will better. It is better, so let's see. Who's next? What else do we got? Did I skip one? No. Alright, so we got Dove Keeper next. We have 8 Unholy Pact on Dove Keeper. I did go with level 7 War God as well, just to put out the extra damage. The more damage, the better. Let's see. We got Serena with level 8 Sacred Light with Revive. I think it's really important to have a level 5 Revive on Serena, because honestly, in some of these Forgotten Trial dungeons, she's the most important hero. You know what I mean? You have 3 or 4 heroes die, boom, she instantly raises them up. Plus, she does other things as well. She's just an absolute beast. Now, we do have Professor Ribbit in this as well, because he is a brawler hero, but one of the main reasons why I used him was because I do have 5 of 5 Malaise on him. I do have that on Serena as well, and it, oh, whoops, it ain't Serena. Here's Serena right here. I do have 5 of 5 Malaise on Serena. Now, Malaise does help a ton in 28 because I don't know if you might be watching this video because you're stuck on it because it's insanely hard. And one thing you'll notice is the Lavanica in this dungeon is absurd. He is so hard to kill. So I was like, well, the more Malaise we run, obviously the better, because if he cannot heal at all, that would be absolutely amazing. Now, the Golem does have 8 Sacred Light as well. Now, I did go with 5 Revitalize on Golem instead of a tanky talent on my Golem. And the reason why I went with 5 Revitalize on Golem is because, in my opinion, I think it's very important that Golem procs right at the start of all these dungeons. And the reason why is because Golem just reduces the damage taken of all your heroes, right? That's huge. That's just such a huge buff. The same with Anubis, too. Sometimes I like to go with 5 Revite. In this dungeon specifically, I didn't because I didn't feel like I needed it. But I do like 5 Revite on Anubis and a lot of dungeons as well. Now, we do have Ares with level 8 Zealous Drive. We also have Sacred Light as a crest set. Let's see. The Pumpkin Duke we went with was the 8 Sacred Light. You know, Pumpkin Duke, it's kind of just whatever you feel like going with. He can really go with any talent. I mean, Regenerate works, Empower works, Revitalize even works, tons of talents work. But I just went with Sacred Light just to keep him alive. You know what I mean? I went with the level 7... what's this? Regenerate. I went with level 7 Regenerate on him to help him get, you know, tons of energy. So you can either go with Regenerate or Empower. I just chose Regenerate so he gets healed for a little bit more with the tanky effect, right? So that's kind of what I went with on Pumpkin Duke. With Anubis, I went with level 8 Unholy Pact. Now, I do have level 7 Sharpen on my Anubis just to increase his crit and accuracy as well. You could go with 5 Revitalize. I just felt like in this dungeon, you're pulling out a hero, Mech Tessa, and basically proccing on that Mech Tessa. So I didn't really feel like 5 Revitalize was necessarily needed on Anubis. And let's see, Walla Walla, we got 8 Sacred Light with a level 7 Flame Guard, just keeping him as tanky as possible. We do not want Walla Walla dying. Let's see. We also have Sasquatch in this dungeon with level 6 Bulwark and level 8 Sacred Light as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the level. Now, one thing that does kind of stink about Forgotten Trial is once you beat the level, you can't go back and replay it. So, obviously, what we're going to be watching here is my attempt where I did beat the level. I'm just going to explain exactly how I did it. So, first things first, you're going to want to drop your Atlantic over here. Now, one thing you'll notice is my Atlantic already has his shield up. That is extremely important. You want to drop him somewhere on the far right side right there between walls 7 and 10. And you're going to need to drop them as close to those walls as possible. Otherwise, you're just going to have to rinse and repeat this step a lot because it has to be right next to the walls. Otherwise, he's not going to proc and instantly die, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? Now, the reason why you want to drop Atlantic over here on this wall is because there's a ton of heroes over here, and also there's a lot of gunslingers on this stage that he just wipes out immediately. And there's also a ton of auto proc heroes that he kills as well. So one thing you'll notice is when you drop Atlantic over here, he takes out whatever heroes are over here and then he dies, right? Well, then he just sits there, obviously. Well, then once you come to your initial drop, he gets revived by Serena, and then all the other auto proc heroes in the dungeons then start procking on Atlantic and he helps you kill even more heroes after that step. So you guys can go ahead and see this. Atlantic dropped. He's killing heroes over there. Now, the main drop is going to be down here with this Mech Tessa right here. Now, you do want to wait until that Iron Will it gets off the Mech Tessa. And the reason why you want to drop on Mech Tessa, because Mech Tessa is kind of like a beefed up Skull Knight, or buffed up Skull Knight, really. Not only does Mech Tessa only take 2,000 damage per hit, which means you can sit there and just stack on Mech Tessa all day long and never even kill her, right? Because no matter how much damage your Dovekeeper hits Mech Tessa, it's only going to be dealing 2,000 damage. So that right there just means your Pumpkin Duke can just sit there and proc over and over and over again. And not only that, Mech Tessa's attack is an AoE attack. So that means Mech Tessa's attack is going to be giving all your heroes energy as well. So it's just hand in hand, it is pretty sweet. You're going to want to lure Mech Tessa out with Dovekeeper as well. And as soon as you see that Mech Tessa start to hop over those walls, go ahead and drop everything else. It's pretty much immediately after, right? So let's go ahead and take a look. We drop Dovekeeper right here as soon as that Iron Will's down right now. Boom, the 2 Wardens proc. And now here's where the RNG comes into play. As you'll see up there in the top right, my Atlanticor's back up. He is owning all kinds of stuff. I mean, he's got Harpy Queens procking on him, other heroes procking on him. And now you just got to hope for the best, because what you're getting ready for is this Levanica right here that is an absolute tank. Yes, he's not evolved, but it doesn't matter. He can kill all 10 of your heroes. I'm not even kidding. He is so overpowered. You got to get to him with Pumpkin Duke procs. Otherwise, you're not beating this dungeon. Straight up. So that's how I beat Forgotten Trial level 28. Now, after this, I will show an attempt of my live stream so you guys can see me do it live. But for now, guys, I am out of here. Peace out, fellas. We're on that Levanica. All right. So, I mean, we got a solid setup overall. We got Atlanticor on the first proc. I mean, can't really ask for too much more than that. It's pretty nice. And come on, baby. The only thing I might change is my Unholy Pact Anubis to Flame Guard, just so he stays alive, because he has been dying quite a bit. Man, this looks like a good proc right here. Oh, how did we kill the Mech Tessa already? We got the Levanica silence. Finish that Levanica off. Come on, now's your chance. No way. Finish that thing off. Dude, there's no way we don't win this right here. I was about to say, dude, there's no freaking way we don't win this right here, dude.